Both countries have ambitious climate goals. The UK was the first major economy to commit to net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. China has pledged to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. The United Kingdom is one of the biggest greenhouse gas emitters in cumulative terms, but today accounts for less than 1% globally. China is currently the world's largest emitter, contributing 30% of gas emissions. In terms of technical know-how, both countries have a lot to offer. The UK wants to get at least 95% of its electricity from clean sources by 2030. It can benefit from China's success in scaling up green tech like EVs, solar and wind power. And in turn, China can learn from the UK as a pioneer in counting carbon emissions and the use of carbon budgets it devised to phase out coal. Now, Kingsmill Bond is an energy strategist for the global energy think tank Ember. Joins us now. Hello, Kingsmill. How significant is this MOU?
This is really important. You have two of the leaders, the UK in percentage terms, China obviously in total terms, coming together saying, in spite of what's going on in the rest of the world, we are going to carry on driving the electrotech revolution because it works for us. That's very significant.
Is it a win-win for both, or is it an obvious benefit to one over the other in your view?
Well, we'll have to see, but don't forget that both parties have a lot to offer each other, as your commentators were just saying. I think for the UK, we would dramatically benefit from having Chinese technology transferred to build EV and battery and solar and factories in this country in order to reduce the price, in order to speed up change. And equally, the UK has some very specific expertise in the deployment of offshore wind, in what the Committee on Climate Change has been doing in setting targets to phase coal out of the system. So there's clearly a lot each side can learn from each other.
Coal is such a hot topic, quite literally, because we're seeing the fears about global economy slowing, and there's always that temptation to push into coal again to make things move a lot quicker in terms of production. China, of course, is committed to reducing its dependence on coal, and the UK has made great strides. Do you think that's an area where the United Kingdom can really help China?
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile emphasising that actually coal is just a legacy technology, and this is a technology shift, and China's successes lie in the deployment of these superior clean energy technologies of electric vehicles and batteries and solar and wind. That's where the interesting story lies. There's actually no temptation to return to coal. The UK just managed to phase it out, and I think we can help China phase coal out more rapidly by deploying some of that expertise.
I have to ask you a question that some would see as political, but there is talk of the UK, China and the EU forming this clean energy bloc, particularly as we're seeing the United States is talking about drill, baby, drill. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's not a particularly political point. It's simply the fact that this is superior technology which benefits the people who deploy it more rapidly. And again, it just sets a very clear message to the rest of the world that when you can get batteries at less than $100 per kilowatt hour and solar panels at 10 cents, it makes sense to do it, and it makes sense to deploy it as quickly as possible. And therefore we have this very powerful coalition of the willing who want to deploy these technologies because it benefits them, it benefits their people, and it makes energy cheaper. And quite frankly, why wouldn't you do that thing?
All right, thank you so much for chatting to us. That's Kingsmill Bond, an energy strategist for the global energy think tank Ember.